So could a daily injection of testosterone propionate be the missing piece in your TRT protocol? Over 12 weeks of subcutaneous dosing of Zyosted, I think subcutaneous tissue, like I said earlier, I think once you get past the psychological fear of the volume, because that did cross my mind, even though I'm not a volume phobe, you might even consider creams. If you're already comfortable with your injection volume, so I personally like the testosterone propionate because it's in, it's out, and you don't get quite as much of a buildup. Intramuscular injection creates, in the muscle, creates the opposite effect. It's daily injection of a whopping high concentration testosterone. That's not TRT. It's subcutaneous versus IM. And it's something that is really a personal preference, though I've tended to see some data that the subcutaneous may take a little bit longer to absorb. It's sold as being more gentle, more stable. It's considered in some patients to be easier to do the injection. I'm all for that. And some will argue that it gives you less peaks, less troughs. But there's a slight pharmacokinetic issue around this. And there's some data from the Zyosted studies, which were done by the FDA. It's a weekly approved, actually preservative-free testosterone enanthate product. And from the package leaflet, from the prescribing information, so it's not anecdotal. It shows like the curve, and we'll put the curve on the screen. And the curve over 12 weeks of subcutaneous dosing of Zyosted, I think it's dosed with 1/2 ml in solution, and there's different strengths. But the top of the curve is quite flat. I mean, it's quite a bit lower than what you would normally expect to see for a given similar milligram per milligram of a testosterone enanthate that's done intramuscularly. So that's the nature of subcutaneous. It kind of buffers or slows down the release, or it even can make the release a bit erratic to what you normally expect to see in an intramuscular injection. Is that a big deal? It might not be. But if you are having any issues with your subcutaneous injections, we have seen people swap to the intramuscular injections and had a much more noticeable experience, because subcutaneous tissue, like I said earlier, is poorly vascularized. There's not a lot of blood vessels in it. It's literally a lot of fat, and it's designed to be metabolically slow and not to disperse the oil-based depot medications efficiently. So when you have a depot in the subcutaneous regions, it kind of just sits there. When you inject it into that fat, it just doesn't go anywhere. Some of it might absorb. There might be some capillaries it absorbs into, but a meaningful amount just stays in that depot, in that fat deposit, a lot longer than your actual dosing interval. So it could build up and release at weird times. And that's the amount that actually reaches your bloodstream consistently is going to be a small amount compared to what you think you injected, which is why sometimes you see these numbers that are lower than you'd expect. And that's what we've seen in those Zyosted pharmacokinetic studies as well. And in patients that do subcutaneous injections, milligram for milligram, they tend to be lower than what you would expect from an intramuscular injection, which gives you a bit of a higher number. It creates intramuscular injection creates, in the muscle, creates the opposite effect. It's highly perfused, meaning lots of blood flows through there. And that oil-based depot can reach the bloodstream more quickly and more meaningfully, so that when you run milligram for milligram dose, you're going to see a slightly higher physiological level than you would with a subcutaneous injection, milligram for milligram. But, like I said earlier, subcutaneous has a place. And to be fair, some patients do fantastically well, even at BMH, who are on subcutaneous injections. So it's not a bad thing. It's just an individualized thing to be aware of. It may feel like it's easier to inject. You've got control. But I do have to say one thing about subcutaneous, and that is this. Everyone loves to try this. So the one thing I want to say about the subcutaneous injections is this. It just seems, I think, ever since the late John Chrysler, or it's been popularized online, or maybe because people who have diabetes are doing the injection, or maybe it's just the self-control to be able to just look down in your belly fat and do your subcutaneous injection. Now, even in the best of times, if you're injecting HCG, let's face it, some people are doing peptides. These are all water-based, usually proteins or peptides. That they're not fat-based, they're not oil-based. So when you put it into the subcutaneous area in the midsection, even when you do it carefully, sometimes they even your HCG or HGH or whatever type of water-based type of injection, peptide protein injection you're doing, you can still get, and even diabetics, you can still get some minor scarring, or you can get some bruising along there. So you have to be careful. At BMH, we do offer subcutaneous injections for patients who do prefer it, but we also think shallow intramuscular injections might be an option. So why don't we do a model of this? Is we take the side. So you have your normal glute injection, or the upper outer part of the quad, or upper outer bit of the upper outer bit of your glute. Now, if you turn the model and to the side, almost along the hip, and is another location that's thin enough, has a bit of muscle, that you can do the injection, and you can use a much smaller needle, like the 27 gauge, 1/2 inch. And you can put a bit more volume in there as well. And you're getting it in the muscle, so you get all the benefits of intramuscular and the benefits of subcutaneous by just putting in that right location, in that particular location. So just some food for thought, that it might be an alternative that you may not have heard of or heard about on some of the somewhere online or elsewhere, or even your doctor may not have explained it to you. Like I said, the shallow intramuscular injection is something that is rarely discussed. It uses a shorter needle. It lands in more superficial muscle fibers, and it feels a bit closer to subcutaneous injection in terms of not being as uncomfortable, or as having the same level of discomfort or comfort as a subcutaneous, but you get real muscle tissue absorption kinetics. So for a lot of men, it's the best of both worlds. So anyway, this isn't about telling you everyone should switch to deep glute IMs, or everyone should do shallow IM, or everyone, should not do SubQ. It's just giving you another option and some other information that you may not have considered. So what is a practical protocol? Okay, let me be clear about what I'm describing, because I don't want anyone to mishear me. So this isn't about the bodybuilding, blasting massive, amounts. I think some people misinterpret what we're saying here, because they say, oh, this is a lot. You're doing a lot. No, this is just the volume, but it doesn't have the concentration that this one has, both same volumes. So that's what we're talking about. The olive oil, the 25 milligrams, is a small amount, preservative free, in a single-use ampule. And your dose could be anywhere from 1/2 mil to 1 mil, depending what your doctor prescribes. You can rotate the sites all around. You can do daily injections, but overall, you might only be getting between, 100 and under 200 milligrams a week. That's a very different conversation from what other people talk about doing a daily injection of a whopping high concentration testosterone. That's not TRT. This is TRT in an area called microdosing. So speaking of microdosing, microdosing can mean years ago, microdosing was done once or twice a week, to now it could be daily. And there's a variation. Microdosing could be 3 times a week. But I want to talk about something that I've experienced, and that's why I think sometimes daily can feel better. And to be fair, it's for years and years and years, I thought this daily thing, I didn't want to have to be tethered to doing an injection day after day after day. And again, I'm not completely advocating for it, but I do want to share this with everyone, because you change over the years and your lifestyle, and you find that certain things work, certain things didn't work. For me, there's a combination of reasons why I thought I'd just try it. It just seemed to make sense to have this daily rhythm. And I didn't mind doing every 3 days and even every other day, and still that could be quite a good option. But for some reason, I think once you get past the psychological fear of the volume, because that did cross my mind, even though I'm not a volume phobe. I call some people who don't like the volume a volume phobe. I don't mean any disrespect, but I do. There are some people that they just crack on. They do this volume. There's no worries. And other people, they panic if it's anything more than, 0.07, so 0.07 or less. But we're all different. But I think if you can get over that psychological fear of volume, you might be surprised that some of the tools we have in the UK and Europe are quite advanced and quite reasonable. And I don't think in America they have always the same kind of ability to make the preservative-free option, which I think is fantastic for what we have. Anyway, after you get over that fear of volume, the next big question becomes a little bit more interesting. So if you think about why I think testosterone propionate can be a good alternative for some, is that it has a half-life about a day, so that means it's in your system for a couple of days. And that used to be considered a disadvantage. And you had to inject more often, which was considered, not normal. And in the era now of daily dosing, this is actually a feature, not a bug. So daily dosing of a shorter ester means a smoother blood level, fewer peaks and troughs, and more stable mood, and more stable libido, less of a hormonal roller coaster. But I want to pause here for a second, because there are peaks and troughs, and there are peaks and troughs in even the Cypionate that people are injecting daily. But the kinetics is that the Cypionate lingers a bit longer. So over time, it does build up. And it doesn't mean it won't build up either on the testosterone propionate. Because, if you're talking half-life of a day and a half, and you're doing it every day, you'll have a slight build-up. But the clearance is a little bit better. Some patients prefer it kicks in just a little bit quicker, but it's not massive, because even when we've accidentally measured, patients have gone in and got the blood test too soon. They did their injection, and then a day later, they were on Cypionate and they did the blood test. We still see a peak. And if patients wait till the end of the trough, meaning before the next injection, if they're injecting, let's say, testosterone Cypionate, every 3 days, and we measure them at the third day, that's a trough. Or if you're doing every other day testosterone, you measure, right before the next injection, that's your trough. Or if you're doing daily and you're measuring the next day, that's your trough too. So, but we see the ups and we see the downs on the trough. That's my point, whether it's on the propionate, whether it's on the Cypionate. But I have seen over the years when people try to dose the Cypionate and even Sustanon, which is not practical with the format, because there's a preservative. It's definitely not practical for subcutaneous. It tends to cause the testosterone to linger a bit longer, and it builds on each other. So initially it looks fine, and then over time, a month later, doing this every single day, you will get a higher level at month 2 and 3 than you do in the first 3 or 4 weeks. So that's just how the kinetics work. So I personally like the testosterone propionate, because it's in, it's out, and you don't get quite as much of a buildup. It's a personal preference. And again, at BMH, we offer all the different options for testosterone. I'm not knocking one over the other. It's just purely, I thought I would enlighten some, because many of you guys come to our clinic and you've got your mind made up and you want to try this one testosterone, which we're happy to have this, definitely the Cypionate's got lots of popularity. And I'm trying to shake it up a little bit and say, well, look, there may be some other options that we can tailor to your exact needs and potential experiences, and you may not have even considered. So when you come to BMH, you're coming to the experts in TRT to kind of help guide you. And, my years of experience, 30 years on TRT already, I hope that I've been through all of them as well. And maybe, I can help save you the trouble of having to try different things, because I've also tried them, and maybe these ideas may work for you in particular. But everyone's different. And again, this isn't medical advice, but it's something to consider when you do speak to our doctors about all the different options. And maybe there's an option you haven't thought about, potentially like testosterone propionate, but there could be others, and that we're happy to consider based on your individual needs. So I want to address something. Again, there's a particular fear that has come about in some of our patients. I do understand why some men or women can be nervous about this. And this, the 1 milliliter syringe does look a bit bigger. It feels a bit more serious. And if you spent years reading comments or talking to other people, just had your own biases telling you that larger volume means scar tissue, pain, or inflammation, of course, you may hesitate. But the fear is usually, not matching with reality in all cases. I think it depends on, if you are susceptible to the irritants, even if you use a smaller volume, for you, there may be particular irritants if there's a preparation that has preservatives, though if you're doing it less frequently, that's fine. You might have to do it daily. You might not have an issue, like with the Cypionate, but there may be a consideration that a clean, preservative-free testosterone propionate, here available in the UK and Europe, is a good option for someone that is interested in doing microdosing, because it works better with their biochemistry. So even though you're doing the same exact milligrams, even though this volume is higher, you might have a more comfortable injection than you'd realize. So the controversial take. So I'll say it plainly, parts of us in the online TRT community, let's just call it that, may have developed a volume phobia. Again, I've called you guys volume phobes. Not because of any weakness, and not because anyone's foolish. It just seems like a lot of volume. But because the conversation has drifted so far towards the volume in the syringe and not about the formulation, trying to just bring some light that the formulation makes a difference. I focused on the visuals, right? So you have got 1 ampule floating in here versus 4, same volume, but the concentration of this 1 ampule is obviously less concentrated than this. So remember these beakers. So anyway, speaking of daily injections, they might not be for everyone, and no one should change the protocol without proper clinical guidance from your doctor, whether it be at BMH or elsewhere, especially a doctor who understands the TRT pharmacology. You might even consider creams. But if you're already comfortable with your injection volume, or you're ready to get past the fear because that particular preparation isn't working for you, then maybe a slightly larger but gentler injection for you may be an answer that you may not have considered. So could a daily injection of testosterone propionate be the missing piece in your TRT protocol? Let us know in the comments. And to understand why daily dosing may improve stability, libido, mood, and overall response, why don't you watch our next video on this topic? If you like content like this, do click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to get our latest updates for when we drop content. It really does mean a lot. And until next time, to your wellness, this is Mike.